Okay, hello to all of you who are doing our interventions. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to run through a quick video on converting improper fractions to mixed fractions to improper fractions, okay? And I'm going to give you some support on doing that, okay? And then there's some questions at the end that I'd like you to do for me as well on the little activity sheet, okay? So try and get these done over the weekend, and then we can talk about our answers in our next intervention sessions next week, okay? So this video is going to be on the intervention site, and it's going to be up there for the entirety of lockdown. So if you ever want any extra practice on this, then please feel free to use this video whenever you like. So we're going to start off with converting mixed numbers to improper fractions, okay? So most of you are absolute experts at this, but we're going to go through it anyway, just in case anybody is struggling. So the very first thing that we do, as we know, is we multiply our denominator by our whole number and then add on the numerator to your answer. Okay, so this is the first question. I'm going to run through this one with you now. I've just written the rule. Just written the rules again here on the left. So multiply the denominator by the whole number. So your number on the bottom by a whole number, and then add on your numerator to your answer. And we'll go through this on our smart book. So here it is: 4 wholes and 2 6. So we find our denominator. I'm going to run the bottom, which is clearly 6, and we're going to multiply that by our whole number, which is 4. And then obviously your answer then is 24, if you didn't work that out. The next step then is you add on your numerator to that answer. So our answer was 24, and then we add on our numerator, our number on the top, which is clearly here 2, and that is clearly 26. And then every single time, guys, we need to make sure we put it back as a fraction. Okay, we're converting a mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay, so we put it back as a fraction using that same denominator, which is 6. Okay, so that is our final answer. You've converted your mixed number to your improper fraction. So if you've got some questions on the worksheet to do on these, use this video at any point just to, if you need any help on converting your mixed numbers to improper fractions. Now we're going to move quickly on then. Well, I'm just going to show you this. This just shows that these two numbers are clearly the same. Okay, so 4 and 2 6 is exactly the same. It's equal to 26 over 6. Now we're going to move on to converting improper fractions to mixed numbers now, because I think a few of you are struggling more with this than the other method. Okay, so if you look at this number, what number do you see? Okay, so we've got 11 over 4, or we could say 11 quarters. We have literally got 11 quarters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out my 11 quarters. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so a little bit of a long way of doing it, but you can literally see here I've got 11 quarters. Okay, exactly the same thing. And what I'm going to do is, because we know that 4 quarters make up one whole, just like 3/3 make up a whole, 5/5 make up a whole, 9/9 make up a whole. So we know that 4 quarters, 4/4 make up one whole. I'm going to circle them together and see how many wholes I've got. So I've got 1 quarter, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 quarters here. So I know that is one whole because it's 4 quarters. I've got another 4 quarters here. So that's another whole. Okay. So I can see then I've got 2 wholes. And how many have I got left over here? 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. Okay, we're adding them on at the end. So it's 3 quarters. So we'll just put that next to it. Okay, so then you can clearly see then that 11 quarters is exactly the same then as 2 and 3 quarters. They mean exactly the same thing. They are equivalent. They are the same. You have converted your improper fraction to your mixed number. Now, another way of doing this is, instead of doing your 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter, you can just show this instead by doing dots. Okay, it's a little bit easier way of doing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so there are my 11 quarters. I've just shown it in dots instead, so it's exactly the same as this, but instead of having to write out a quarter each time, I've just displayed it as dots just to help me. Now you don't have to do dots. If you do circles, squares, you can do the quarters if that helps you. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so then we can circle them. So we've got one group, we've got another group here. So we can see we've got 2 wholes because there's 4 quarters in each, and we know that 4 quarters make up a whole. So we've got 2 wholes. We've got 1, to 3 left over. So we always use the same denominator. So we've got 3/4, and that's our answer again. We've got exactly the same as last time. So we can now then see that 11/4 is exactly the same, is equal to 2 3/4. Now what I want to show you is when we're converting improper fractions to mixed numbers, now we can use this method and we can do our dots every single time, and that's fine, and we can get the right answer. However, when we've got a question like this, for example, if you had to draw down 39 dots, okay, it could take you ages, waste a lot of time, and you're quite likely as well to make a little mistake when you do it. You might do an extra dot, you might do 1 dot too less. Okay, it's quite easy to do. So we need to make sure we're not making that mistake when we're doing it. So when you get a question like this, okay, it's all about practicing your times tables to do this, guys. Okay, so make sure we're doing this. So 39/7. Okay, so all we're trying to do is working how many wholes we've got and how many we've got left over. So how many whole 7s have we got? So we're going to count up in our heads in our 7 times table, because I don't want to draw out 39 dots because it's going to waste too much time. So I'm going to count on my fingers how many groups of 7 I have in 39. So I'll count my 7 times table. So I've got 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Now I'm quite close to 39, so I'm going to stop there. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to write out my 7 times table as I do this. So I've got 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Okay, so I'm quite close. So I can see now how many whole lots of 7 I have. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 wholes. So I know straight away I've got 5 whole numbers. So that is going to be my whole number. Okay. Now, how many then do I have left over? That's what I've got to work out next. So I got to 35 when I was counting up in my 7 times table, and I need to get to 39. So all I do is I count up from 35 up to 39 to work out how many I've got left over. So 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay, and I've got 4 then left over. Now I don't just write remainder 4, because remember we're doing this as a mixed number. So it's got to be a whole number and a fraction. Okay, so I have my 4 and I put it over my same denominator that I've got before, which is 7. Okay, so now you can see then that 39/7 is exactly the same as 5 and 4/7. They are equal to each other. They are equivalent. They are the same. Okay, right. So again, you've got some questions to do on that. Use this video again to help you. You don't have to use this method. You can draw out the numbers if you like you've done before. Okay, this will help when you get to bigger numbers. Okay, so make sure you're practicing your times tables. So now I'm just going to move on to which is bigger. So whenever we get a question to find out which is bigger or which is further, which is closer, okay, and you've got to use your big crocodile mouse to compare the 2 numbers, always, if you've got a mixed number and an improper fraction, you need to make sure that they are both the same. So you need to make sure that they are either both mixed numbers or both improper fractions. It does not matter which. So let's choose one. Let's choose to convert our 3 3/5, our mixed number, to an improper fraction. Let's do that one first. Okay, so now they'll both be improper fractions. So of course we know that when we do this, we do our denominator, which is 5, and we times it by our whole number, which is 3, and that equals 15. Then we add on our numerator, which is 3, and we get our answer 18. Put it back as a fraction under the same denominator, just like we did earlier, 18/5. Okay, so now we know that 3 3/5 is exactly the same as 18/5. Okay, so we can then go to here and work out 3 3/5 is exactly the same as 18/5. Okay, so which is bigger, 18/5 or 17/5? 3 3/5 or 17/5? 18/5 or 17/5? We know, of course, that our 3 3/5, and I'll write it again for you. So we've got 17/5. So we know this is 18/5. So this is clearly going to be bigger. So our crocodile will always eat the bigger number. Okay, so there's that for you. Okay, so we can now compare the two because we put it as the same improper fraction. Now, what I've done here then, I've asked another question. So I've got the 3 3/5 again. I'm going to use that same mixed number, or 37/10. So what we can do, we can convert our mixed number again. We can choose one of the two, but I'm going to convert my mixed number to my improper fraction. So we've already done that. Okay, and we know that we've got 18/5 then, because we know 3 or 3/5 is exactly the same as 18/5. We've already worked that out in the question. Okay, now it's asking you to do 18/5 or 37/10. Now we've converted them both to improper fractions, so we've done that bit, but we're still struggling to compare to the two. And this is because our denominators, our number on the bottom, are different. We always need to make sure our denominators are the same. So what we do, we can either look at our 5 or look at our 10. We can either get 10 to 5 or 5 to go into 10. Okay. Now remember, we never add and we never subtract. We either multiply or divide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert my denominator of 5 to my denominator of 10. Sorry. So here we go. So I need to get my denominator from 5 to 10. So how do I get from 5 to 10? Of course, I multiply it by 2. We don't add, we don't subtract, we don't divide. In this sense, we times it by 2. And whatever you do to your denominator, you must do to your, I'm hoping you're all screaming at the screen, you do to your numerator. So we also need to times 18 then, times by 2. And when you work that out, you'll get the answer 36. Okay, so now we can see then that our 3 and 3/5 is exactly the same as 36/10. We've converted our mixed number to an improper fraction, which was 18/5, and then we've converted our 18/5 to have a denominator of 10, 36/10. So now we can compare 3 and 3/5 to 37/10. So which one is bigger? Is it 3 and 3/5, which is 36/10, or is it 37/10? Okay, of course, 37/10 is bigger than 36/10. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, don't worry, run through the video again, go through it step by step. Okay, it's going to be the same thing you do for each question. Okay, I've now added that activity sheet onto the interventions website, so you can use that now at any point. Okay, use the questions, and if you run out of questions and you want more practice, just make up your own questions, guys. It's really, really easy to do. Just make up your own mixed number, make up your own improper fraction, and try and work it out. Okay, it's not too difficult to do. So have a go at that for me. Do that over the weekend, and then we're going to discuss our answers in our next intervention session, which will be next week. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Feel free to contact me if you still need any help, and I will speak to you soon. Thank you very much.